Today I want to address a little bit of a controversial topic, and one that's been struggled with by many people when it comes to the blogosphere and looking around YouTube, and that is really trying to understand the connection between spirituality and business. A lot of the feedback I get is people resonate with some of my work because they feel that it's able to combine the two. And so I want to give you a context of understanding today that I think can help resolve some of the dilemma that people have when it comes to misnomers and beliefs such as, oh, you can't be spiritual and wealthy. So let's dive into that and see what shows up. First thing I want to look at is, let's just look at what they are. Now, what is business? Well, business is nothing more than the creation and transaction of value. That's it. It's not inherently good, it's not inherently bad. It is a vehicle for being able to exchange value in a society in an economic-based world. Spirituality is nothing more than the reflection of your own journey through higher levels of awareness and consciousness. That's it. Two don't have to be mutually exclusive. However, where it tends to get a bad name is that if you're at a lower level of consciousness and you're on the start of your journey there, and again, spirituality and levels of consciousness are not correlated to chronological age. Now, for some of us, it's probably taken many, many lifetimes to get to what we'd call higher levels of spiritual awareness. But if you're still at a low level, and how would I categorize that? Ego-centrism versus ethnocentrism. Now, are you all about yourself? Are you all about what you can get at the expense of others? Or do you come from a place of how do I serve and contribute beyond myself? That's really the dividing or tipping point on the journey of emotional and spiritual maturity. So when it comes to lower levels of consciousness, where you're coming from a place of greed or fear or scarcity or fear of loss or that kind of stuff, most of the time you will use business as a vehicle still to be able to acquire material things, but you'll do it through compromising values at a higher level of spirituality. So you'll be willing to step on people to get something rather than help them up the ladder, and that's really where money and spirituality tends to get a bad name. However, if you go further up the levels of awareness and consciousness, so you're coming from a place of, as I said, more ethnocentricity, even world-centric, where you're really seeking to add value, where you're trying to make a difference beyond yourself, where you're really looking to add value to the world, then business is an incredible vehicle for being able to do that and reach many more people. Now, if you're successful at that, guess what? You get to acquire a lot of material wealth, material gains as a direct result of that, because that's how the process of the economics of business work. Now, there is a higher level, and this is again sometimes where people draw the wrong information. And as if you go further and higher up different levels of conscious awareness, then on your spiritual journey, you'll tend to have far less attraction or far less willingness to care about material things. If you take some of the great teachers in history, Jesus being the obvious one, you'll find that he added value to millions of people, but it wasn't through the vehicle of business. That wasn't his interest. It was through a much higher level of spirituality where he didn't care about that. He wasn't addicted to the material side. Although if you do your homework philosophically and you extrapolate the value today of gold, frankincense and myrrh, according to the parable, Jesus was already born a millionaire. So if it comes to equating spirituality and wealth and that they're incompatible, well, go reconcile that. So if we look at those three factors, you've got business as a standalone vehicle for being able to transact value, and you've got spirituality as your own reflection of your own journey through levels of consciousness. Then if you're at a low level of consciousness, business is going to provide you a way to still acquire wealth, but you're going to do it by compromising higher level of spiritual values. If you're at a higher level of spiritual values, business is a phenomenal vehicle to be able to add value to lots of people. If you're at the upper levels of spirituality, there's no attachment to business as a vehicle because you're not looking to acquire wealth. There's no materialistic. So, if we look at what's the driver there, it's not business, it's not wealth or money, it's not even spirituality. The fundamental driver behind all of that, the prerequisite to whether you can reconcile that, is nothing more than the reflection of your own place on your journey of consciousness. And that's pretty much it. Don't overcomplicate it, don't overthink it. Yeah, so can spirituality and business go together? Absolutely. And if they do so successfully, that's more a reflection of the fact that you're at a higher level of value than it is a low level of value, but also a reflection of the fact that you're still looking to go through your journey until you get to a point where you have complete non-attachment to most of that. And we see that in society in many different ways, when people that have got to the point of high levels of extreme wealth where they realize that, well, the fulfillment isn't there, I'm really not attached to it. People like Stuart Wilde, for example, and his story. And you have a complete letting go of all of that, because you realize that isn't the goal of where we're ultimately heading in life. And you see billionaires giving away their fortune as a result. So I hope that's given a little bit of context. It's obviously a controversial topic. People are obviously going to have their own views on that. So feel free to comment below and start a discussion. But I'm hoping I can give you just a little bit of framework for understanding how to marry that up and use it not as a debate to judge other people with, but as a way to look in the mirror to see your own path and your own journey as to where you are. Hope that was helpful.